If you're familiar with Mudrunner and Snowrunner, then you've probably heard about the brand new member of the runner family called Expeditions, a Mudrunner game. But is it worth $40, $60, or even $70? Well, I spent my own money to find out and share my first impressions of Expeditions with you. Here's a spoiler for those who won't stick around for the full video. It could be better. My sons are refunding their games, but I'm keeping mine. For the full story, stick around. So what is Expeditions, a Mudrunner game? Gosh, that title's long. Well, you have three main maps, Little Colorado, Arizona, and Carpathians, filled with expedition missions to complete, and finishing these earns you cash from the tasks as well as the item loot you collect along the way. Use this money to pimp out your rig or buy new trucks, and yes, you can even make your truck pink if you'd like. Shut up, it's cute. But in addition to selecting the right truck for your expedition, you also need to stock your truck with things like fuel and repair parts, and consider forking over extra dough to hire team members, which give you buffs like reducing damage, permanent sonar, or an increase to your loot sale price. During your mission, you also have devices to help plan your route, such as sonar, which highlights deep water areas, binoculars to help discover new points of interest, a drone to get a bird's eye view of the terrain, and the ever-trusty winch to save your when you get stuck. There are also supply drops, airdrops, where you can score free sellable loot and repair parts and fuel. If you get stuck, you can choose to recover to your garage like in Snowrunner, but if you complete your mission, you get paid and unlock new vehicles, features, and expeditions. Free roaming the map is one such unlockable feature. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How does Expeditions compare to Snowrunner? Vehicle maneuvering is pretty similar to Snowrunner, except the controller binds are a bit different, though you can change those in settings. There are tons of vehicle customizations that will look pretty familiar, but I only noticed a couple new vehicles at this point. Most are foreign, yet the maps are American, which is a bit strange, and I'm hoping the International Scout 800 from the trailer eventually makes an appearance. Speaking of Scout, the terrain in Expeditions is more ideal for scouting than in Snowrunner, which is more heavy truck focused. There are no trailers, just cargo beds. This was an immediate disappointment to my kids, who loved trailering loads on pavement in Snowrunner. But in Expeditions, there are no roads, and aren't really trails either. You have to chart your own course over treacherous terrain and dump your load directly on your truck. Expeditions also has fun gadgets like a metal detector, sonar, drones. Airdrops are a neat feature too. There is also a tire pressure adjustment feature to help gain traction in rocky terrain. One strange difference I did notice is that when you're in low with Diffie Lock on, and you put it in reverse, the Diffie Lock disengages and needs activated again, which is kind of annoying. The user interface is also different. It's tough to know how to switch vehicles, and activating the recovery option is much easier in Snowrunner too. But the repair interface on the lower left does feel nicer in Expeditions than in Snowrunner. Some of these differences may diminish in the early game patches, but the consensus my kids and I decided upon is that Expeditions is largely similar to Snowrunner, but is heavily scouting based, has a lackluster vehicle lineup at this point, and could use some interface tweaks. So what do I like most about Expeditions? Well, it's similar to Snowrunner, but there are no trailers, which I did not enjoy driving anyhow. The new gadgets are fun and add a new dynamic to the game. It adds a bit of a modern, science-y flair, I guess. So far, Expeditions has done a pretty good job of explaining the game objectives in a more cohesive way than Snowrunner did, so I think it might be the best of the series for new players to hop into as opposed to Snowrunner or Mudrunner. The maps in Expeditions are beautiful. The graphics are, how do I say it? I guess a tad cartoonish, but I like that. Yet they're also similar to Snowrunner as well, so you won't notice a huge difference other than maybe a bit more vibrancy. Some might call it arcadey. Finally, free roam mode is perfect for casual exploration. Just note it has to be unlocked through missions. I also have 4 items on my wish list for how I think Expeditions could be made better. Number 1, multiplayer. I'm guessing a huge percentage of Mudrunner Snowrunner players are highly reliant on multiplayer. So for Expeditions to fully release without it is more than a bit perplexing and disappointing. Having to wait a few more months for multiplayer really sucks the hype out of this launch. Number 2, regulars of this channel know that I like to make games more cozy than chaotic, so difficulty settings would be a nice touch for sensitive little cupcakes like me. Number 3, fix the bugs. For example, my game completely froze during the tutorial. It happened to my son in the same place as well. And polish the user interface. Please make things like recovery to the garage and switching vehicles easier. And number 4, deliver my International Scout 800 to my garage, as promised, please. False advertising. So should you buy or pass on Expeditions, a Mudrunner game? Is there enough to differentiate Expeditions from Snowrunner, or is it more of a DLC? I have a feeling this is going to be a major griping point in the initial reviews of Expeditions. If you're expecting a huge diversion from Snowrunner, you'll likely be disappointed. It's pretty similar, lacks a few amenities Snowrunner fans enjoy, and what it adds may not be enough to justify the price. My 2 high school sons, who are longtime Snowrunner fans, both became frustrated during the tutorial and first mission, not knowing how to switch vehicles and being disappointed in the vehicles they could purchase by working in-game as opposed to spending actual money on DLCs. They play Snowrunner for the heavy semis and trailer cargo hauling, and although they love the scouting aspect of Expeditions, the disappointments outweighed the new gadgets and scout-heavy missions. They are refunding their games. And with my convoy abandoning me, my tires deflated. Should I keep this game that I spent a lot of money on? Would I play it solo? Ultimately, I decided to keep it for 4 reasons. 1, I like the cheerful aesthetic of Expeditions after all the mud and snow of Snowrunner. 2, I can jackknife a semi in 5 seconds flat, so the absence of trailer cargo is sweet, sweet music to this mama's ears. 3, the 007 gadgets in Expeditions are low-key super awesome. Janky gimmick or not, I'm a sucker for this kind of tech. And number 4, when multiplayer releases, I know I can get my husband to play with me. In the game, you weirdos. Gosh. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on Expeditions, a Mudrunner game. And if you like watching an old lady play sim and survival games, consider subscribing to the channel. Or don't. Whatever. I'm gonna go play Desert Trucker and roll some coal.